Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Freddy Always. Gosh, I didn't want to make a repeat video of me riding my bicycle again, but you know how hard it was to sit down and make a vlog after I literally went outside and did a video? Jesus, literally, like, I'm literally sitting down trying to do a talking head video and it didn't work out. You know, after yesterday's vlog, the day before's vlog, I told myself that I wasn't gonna record outside the whole bicycle thing over and over again, because, you know, obviously I wanted to keep it fresh and new and all that great stuff. But what am I gonna do otherwise? I could do videos inside my house, maybe cooking something, showing you guys anything cool that I can cook, or I can just get outside and, you know, enjoy the area I live in. You know, what I gotta do is be careful with how I breathe, because my breathing, I saw in the last video, I was like struggling just to hold it together. You know, I spent so much money in my home studio because I wanted to be like any other YouTuber that has a cool talking head setup and, you know, the lights and the cameras and all that cool stuff. And, you know, which is cool and I enjoy and I love it. But it just is not inspiring to me as much as I thought it would be. It's cool and I want to keep it because that's where I make my content. That's where I edit my videos and stuff. You can make a room beautiful. You can put all the lights and all the technology that you can have. But, I mean, can you beat this as a backdrop? Imagine coming back here almost every single day to film your video and just sit back here and possibly have a gator behind you rapping and rolling and possibly chewing your foot off. And this is what I got in this area, in this location. It makes you be grateful for the things that you work for and the things that come your way in life. What I kind of wanted to talk about in this video. Guys, you know, for a long time growing up, I don't want to say ungrateful, but I was very sour because, like a lot of different people in the world, you know, I didn't grow up with much. I mean, shoot, I didn't have my own personal bed till I turned like 15 or 16, right? And for a long time, I would blame the adults in my life. I would be angry because I was like, you know, you start seeing kids in school that have so much more. And for a long time, I felt so bitter because, you know, you see kids that have Jordans and all this stuff. And me, maybe I'll get 2 pairs of shoes, a pair of whites and a pair of blacks. And that's all you get for the year. And that's a maybe. And hand-me-down clothes all the time. And man, things were always tight, right? Especially when my mom and my stepdad got divorced. Now, I understand that situation. I mean, my mom did the best that she could. I mean, it was 4 kids and a mom, right? And I remember one time I came up to her and said, "Mom," you know, she was outside drinking her beer. That's the thing, my mom would always go to work, but she liked drinking her beer. She was outside with her little radio and smoking a cigarette and drinking. And I told her, "Mommy, I would love to have a gold necklace," right? Because I would see other kids having a gold necklace. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool to have that? And growing up, like as an adult, I always felt like the moment you get a gold necklace, you made it. You were successful, which is something crazy. I probably saw that in a movie somewhere. I don't know. And she started bawling. And as an adult, you start to remember that those little details like that. And you start to realize, oh man, you know, as a kid, I wasn't grateful. We weren't grateful because we didn't know the situation. My mom was crying because she was stressed out. Sometimes there wasn't food in the table. You know, as a single mom, her checks were very small, CNA. Welfare didn't last the whole month. I remember we'll get one grocery shopping thing for the whole month, and then by the second week it was practically almost gone. And we were excited though when that thing was full. The car was full of groceries. But growing up, since I didn't have nothing, it man, it created this fear that I cannot be successful in life. When it came to school in particular, I didn't even do my homework or study or do my schoolwork at all, because in my mind was by the time I turned 16, I was gonna drop out, which I did. I dropped out because I didn't think. I mean, everybody that is in school, they tell you what are you gonna do for when you get older. I'm like, oh, I want to be a cop. I want to be a firefighter, and in my mind, I'm like, I can't do nothing because I can't afford nothing. And nobody cared enough to check my grades. And what's the point of even trying? So I ended up leaving school. Thank God, eventually I got my, I went to a program afterwards and got my diploma. So I was blessed in that sense. But when it came to schooling, I had this thing where money was the barrier. Even when I moved out on my own, I had this fear that my life, I wouldn't be able to afford it. I had this fear that I wouldn't be able to pay the lights and water, because that's what I saw all the time. I'm gonna tell you a story. It was a sad story. My mom couldn't afford to pay the lights one time. It was a tough time. She didn't have the money, and it was for a long time. And my brother, he's the more mischievous person in the family. And he would take this extension cord, and he would go outside of the apartment and plug in the power cord, and go inside through the window, and he would plug in the fridge. He would plug in the microwave, and that's how we'll make our soups in the microwave. And the ramen noodles, that's what we would eat when we didn't have no money. It was the cheapest thing and the thing that we kind of liked. And, sometimes we would forget to disconnect it, and the next day, the maintenance of the apartment would, disconnect it, be angry, and then the manager would tell my mother, hey, don't do that. You're not supposed to do that. You're robbing that power. But what could we do? We had no power. We needed food. We needed to take care of the little necessities that we had, little things that we had in the fridge to make it last till whenever. With that, we didn't have no food whatsoever, right? And then one day, after they warned us, which I get it, we woke up one day and we went to turn on the microwave, and we realized that we forgot too that we left the cable out there. And when we left it, we tried to use the microwave, and then that's when we realized it wasn't working. So we go outside just to see if it's plugged in, and they cut it. So I don't quite remember, but I think I remember my mom was crying about it. She was desperate. That cable was the only thing that gave us something to eat at that moment. The only way that we can cook anything or keep our fridge cold. And so that created a fear in me that lifestyle was going to be my lifestyle growing up. Thank the Lord, though. Through hard work and fear, I was able to overcome that. I got a good job. I moved up. Eventually, I got my trucking license, and I started making good money as a truck driver. I stayed within the company, and I rose in the ranks, and now I'm a supervisor. And, with that income and the income that my wife makes, I was able to move to a place where, I always dreamed as a kid to live in, but never thought it would be a place I could live in, because I've only lived in apartments or rented homes. And so for my case, I didn't believe that I was able to get something beautiful like this for me. Even when I was walking around this neighborhood with my wife, when we were dreaming and holding hands, I'm like, we would always say, it would be nice to live in a place like this. But for our first home, it was super unlikely. For the grace of God and being diligent with saving and all that good stuff that you're supposed to be doing anyways, We were blessed enough to live in somewhere, in a place like this, where, where we live could be our forever home if we decided to. And we would be blessed with something like this kind of view at all times, every single day. And I just want to say that I'm grateful for what I have. I'm grateful because even though there was struggle in our lives, I was able to overcome it. And it just shows me that your beginning doesn't determine your end. I mean, if I kept the mindset that I had when I was 18 or 16, I would not go anywhere. I would have stayed in my $600 every 2-week job or worked at a 7-Eleven the rest of my life and not gone anywhere in my life. And through circumstances in life, I was able to overcome my fears of staying stagnant. My fears of, I can't do this because I'm here. No, there are barriers and we have the power to overcome that. And I'm grateful for learning these things. And I'm grateful that I was able to learn these things at an early age, early enough for me to make a difference in my life. As a kid, maybe all I wanted was a home where I was stable and have a garage and have a room and have a bed. So down below, guys, comment what your struggles you guys have, what traumas that you guys have worked on, or traumas that you might still or have to work on. We don't go through this world unescathed. We all go through things. Sometimes we might not go through the same things, but we go through similar things in life. We all go through traumas sometimes. Sometimes we don't. God bless the person that doesn't. So comment down below if there's something that you need to work on, or something you worked on and you overcame. Motivate us in the community. Thank you guys for watching. This video was kind of hard to make because, you don't want to say too much because these are lives we're talking about. We're talking about my family. But anyways, thank you for watching. Until next time, see you later.